Hello and welcome to the Creative Academy, our Blue Pencil sessions. This is where we take a look at your pages and give you our deep thoughts. I'm Eileen Cook and I'm here today with my colleagues, Crystal and Donna. Sometimes we agree and sometimes we don't. So that's what makes it sort of fun. Today we are taking a look at Jenny Watson's middle grade. It's a contemporary middle grade, Kagawa and the World's Cheekiest Parrot. So let's sort of jump in and sort of talk about, at least for me, I thought this was a really fun piece with a lot of tension. So we have a character who is being tempted to sneak out of his friend's house and go on an adventure in the park. And he knows if he does this, he stands a big chance of getting into trouble. And I thought that that tension really worked to pull me through the piece. Mm-hmm. How about you guys? What are sort of initial thoughts?
I was so impressed with how we started exactly in the middle of the action. Like that, this could be a case study in how to start in the middle of action. And I was like, this is a great action too. Like we've got so much going on in that first paragraph. So yeah, I was right in there with them right off the top. Crystal.
Nice. Yes, I was also right in there. I initially thought though that they were brothers, because when he says, if mom finds out, I'll get grounded, I say. But as it goes on from there, it became clear that actually they're friends or kids who live in the same neighborhood. They're not actually brothers. So it's such a tiny thing. But because everything else is, I think, really, really strong, we're going to pick on the tiny things. Mm-hmm. But instead of if mom finds out, it's if my mom finds out, right? So if you think about when you're kids, everyone that's a grown-up effectively in your world is mom. It's somebody's mom. It's your mom or Marcus's mom or, whatever. And so just having that defining your mom, my mom, whatever would help, because they are in Marcus's house. And it's his mom, we assume, or dad downstairs who's vacuuming and is supposed to be watching the boys. And so I think just having that defining piece of whose mom it is that we're worried about in the current moment would help us stay in the right space and geographically get a better handle on what things are happening where and with whom. Who are we most afraid of in that moment? Because being afraid of your friend's mom is different than being afraid of your mom. The consequences are quite different.
And I think there are a couple other places where it was clear to me, but where I think you could make things a bit more clear. So, for example, there's a line where Marcus's dog Buddy presses his nose against my leg. A trail of slobber dribbles from his mouth onto the runners I've borrowed, so I don't have to get mine from the front door. Like, I'm assuming you don't want to get yours from the front door because then Marcus's dad will know that you guys are planning to leave. But that was just a place where it was like, I think you could make that just a tiny bit more clear.
I want to throw in one thing that I absolutely loved, which is down at the end, and then I think we're going to dive into a conversation about something that's higher up. But one of the lines I absolutely loved was, I don't want Marcus to think I do everything mom says. And I do want to play the game, but I highlighted that I don't want Marcus to think I do everything my mom says. I thought that was just such a great way to express that feeling, and I've not seen it expressed that way before. So it was just a nice, I thought that was a really great way to give a little bit of his character in a new way for me.
Then I'm going to raise one other line, and then we're going to dive into something that we had an interesting discussion about. So in the second paragraph, you have a sentence that reads, the premiere is only 2 weeks away, a week after Christmas, and Marcus's sister Sasha scored us backstage passes. It's a great sentence, and it has a lot in it, but it's more of a complicated sentence with sort of different sort of pieces and chunks to it. And I might just break it into a couple shorter sentences, given that these are middle grade readers. So that just might be a little bit helpful for them. So now are the issue that we debated. So I'm going to read the line, and then I will say my response to it, and then we'll have some thoughts about that. So he's,
One sec. One other thing in there, which I didn't notice until just now, is that you're talking about a premiere, and it's a premiere for a movie, and then you're talking about backstage passes, which is not really what you have at a movie. You might have VIP passes to the premiere of a movie that get you kind of special access, but that usually backstage would be describing a concert or an event where there literally is a stage, at least in my experience. So
I wonder though, because it says the next line is, I can't wait to meet Ken Alabaster. He's the actor who plays the sheriff. So it sort of seems like this is a movie premiere where the actors are there.
yeah.
I that didn't tweak for me, and I used to be in film, and we used to have premieres. You would go and meet people, and so the backstage part just felt like shorthand for that everyone understands. Okay. VIP works too, but it didn't make me feel like, oh, that's the wrong word. But maybe VIP is more appropriate, or not, or equally not wrong.
And if you thought we disagreed on that, wait till you get to this. So the line that we have is, he says, if Mom finds out, I'll get grounded. And if that happens, Marcus will ask one of the other kids from school to go with him to the premiere. Maybe even Tommy Douglas, the kid with the peanut allergy. And I wrote, when I reviewed the piece, haha, laugh out loud.
I wrote, love this line. Also in brackets, though, Tommy Douglas made me think of the former premier of Saskatchewan, I think he was, or Manitoba, because you've just mentioned premier, so I don't know, that won't tweak for middle grade, but if a parent's reading it, suddenly I have an image of the premier, Tommy Douglas, with a peanut allergy, but I love the peanut allergy as a definer for poor Tommy Douglas, and until
the person who is occasionally defined by their allergies was like, okay, but like, what is, and I guess it really just matters, what is it you're trying to communicate with that? Is it like, oh man, Tommy Douglas would be the last resort of somebody you'd want to like give up your spot at something to? Or is it just that that's the only thing they know about Tommy, the fact that he has a peanut allergy, and that's been what's defined him at school? So I guess part of it is just motivation around that. But
yeah, okay, but yes, but no, because your initial reaction was quite different. I think now that we've discussed it once, you've tempered what your original reaction was, which wasn't to think about
my original reaction was, that's a really negative way to call out a kid with an allergy. Like, if you're making that the only thing that defines them, then that is, it's not ideal, just given the number of kids who have allergies these days, and the amount of like kind of negative attention you get alongside that. It just felt like calling out something that didn't need to be called out. It's not something he has any control over or can do anything about. So I don't know. It was just an initial flag for me that felt uncomfortable, that was the identifier used.
And I was going to justify why it still worked. And then I did the interesting thing if I swapped it out and said, maybe even Tommy Douglas, the Muslim kid. Like, where I would be like, ew, that feels not good. So I think there's some really interesting things to think about, because I think it is the kind of thing, like, I know I once got a manuscript corrected where I had a character say, you hit like a girl. And the person said, do we really want to just kind of keep putting that out there, that's weaker or that kind of thing? So it's just kind of a thing to think about. So we did discuss if this is a smoking gun. So if Tommy Douglas is going to inhale, peanut butter sandwich at some point, and that's going to be a scene, then yeah, you probably do want to leave it in so that we know he has that allergy. So when we see the sandwich appear, we know there's trouble. But if there's not a smoking peanut, then you might want to find another way to define him that is something that would possibly be within his choice. So the kid who only wears, I don't know, superhero t-shirts, or the kid who only, something else that he finds goofy or odd about him.
Or if it's a positive thing, because it may be that, Kai is in competition with Tommy Douglas's to be Marcus's BFF. And so if that's the case, then it's something that marks him out as special or gives him an edge that would be the interesting way to call that out. So like maybe even Tommy Douglas, the kid who was always giving Marcus his cookies from his lunch, or always had the good snacks, or like whatever it is that a boy of that age would be envying, or feeling was like an advantage, that would be another way to do it that kind of ups the stakes in terms of what's involved.
Perfect.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, otherwise, I want to give full kudos in terms of tons of great action. And again, we're talking about kids sneaking out. I think this would be great fun for kids to read, and they're off to play what looks like a Pokemon Go kind of game where you're out and about and you're finding things on your phone. So I think it's kind of relevant and all those kinds of stuff. So
And
I would say,
dying to know what the cheekiest parrot is, if the cheekiest parrot is the thing that's going to be giving them away. Like, that cursed parrot was watching out the window or something. Mm-hmm.
I would read more, and that's always my biggest compliment I can offer. So,
Yep.
all right, we give it a thumbs up, so keep on writing. So for everyone else, if you have some pages and you'd like us to take a look at them, we'd like to do that. So that's the Blue Pencil sessions, and submit those pages. And until then, we will see you around the Academy. Take care, everybody.